mango and watermelon were my top 2 picks. And so that you guys have a good excuse to hate Ravi, he chose blueberries.
Ugh, what a weird choice.
Specifically,
guys, fruit that you want to eat like by its lonesome, you know, not like flavors.
Yeah.
Okay, so we need to see what everyone types in Twitch chat. This is the real Twitch poll. Let's do the intros before I say mine, I guess. Bottom left, we have the red Protoss, Drogo.
And in the top right, often living up to his name, he is Strange.
I'm actually not even sure what my top ones are. Right now, I might just be with you cats. I might just say mango and watermelon, because that's honestly the fruit that I've eaten the most of in the last couple of months.
Yeah, cantaloupe has been creeping in for me. I've enjoyed it as of recently. Cantaloupe's the orange one, right? Or the green one?
Yeah, honeydew is the green one, I think.
Okay, yeah, I think the orange one I prefer slightly.
Yeah. I also do really love peaches, though. But I just like, I don't know, there's it's not even a seasonal thing, at least I don't think. It really is just, you know, a mood thing.
Yeah.
So, but right now, definitely mangoes. I tried to cut up a mango today and was super disappointed that it wasn't ripe. So I was like, oh, I guess I'll wait. That's how my day started, poorly.
Oh, no.
I know.
We are now in this game, I suppose, where both players are just going to open as normal as they can with 2 gateways each on the high ground. Would you care to guess what flavor of units they're going to be getting here, Jess?
Even though we did see Mana go for 2 Robo openers, I'm going to go with Blink Stalkers. And I'm going to go with a Stalker Sentry opener from both.
All right. And it's going to be 2 Stalkers on one side and a Stalker Sentry on the other. So you would have gotten a bunch of points for sure. I mean, mostly correct. 3 out of 4. And yeah, let's see what Strange is going to be able to do with this. I would love to see him try to apply some pressure. Potentially will be trapping the probe of PtitDrogo inside his base, and will also scout the low ground here. He will be dropping a pylon, which will be disappointed not to see Adepts. But with a single Stalker, it's still going to be pretty annoying for Drogo, and Drogo having to show just the 1 Stalker potentially might proc Strange to move on forward with his aggression, as he's adding 2 more Stalkers. So he might be able to find a timing here where he can be annoying at the natural, especially seeing as this map doesn't have a ramp leading to it.
I was going to say, I'm a bit surprised if he doesn't start moving out with the Stalkers, but this makes a little more sense. He's going to turn this opener into a 3-gate Robo build. So he is just positioning them to stop any cheeky probe scouts or even an attempted little poke from Drogo's units, which is unlikely, but it's really about the hallucination. Like, that's something that Strange cannot stop, and I'm not certain... Well, okay, I say cannot. He should not be able to, but Protoss players are picking up on the unit paths. Ooh, Drogo... Yeah, he's going to get the scout.
Yeah, good job by Drogo there paying attention to his Phoenix. Had it stayed in the same path, it would have been picked off. Strange will continue to produce Stalkers 2 at a time and is now moving across the map. But Drogo, with that information, should be able to defend 3 sentries and already a very nice shield battery way in the back, very difficult to pick off. And will be enabled as well when that Nexus finishes to become a super massive shield battery.
Even better than a supermassive black hole.
Exactly.
Well, it looks like Strange is at least prepared to adapt to the game. PvP is definitely a funky matchup where a little bit of success can more often than other matchups lead to an even game. Whereas, you know, a lot of other times talking about an all-in having to win the game right then and there. A little bit of success can go a long way. But can Strange find any success? Drogo is awfully well set up in the natural at the very least. He's not playing around. He's got 3 shield batteries. Only 1 pylon, to be fair. That's always a little concerning, but I think he's got enough to defend it. And he does still have to worry about potential elevator play into the main. But let's see. Strange's going to go for the first poke. A couple of force fields get slapped down. Not going to be killing the unit as fast or as at all as he wanted there. The shield battery overcharge was very quick from Drogo.
Yeah, but that won't be a tool that Drogo has available for the next poke of Strange. Strange, I've seen him work some magic with this type of attack where it just seems like it shouldn't work, but then he makes it work sometime. That said, with the Immortal popping up for Drogo, it's going to be increasingly difficult now. There is no more force field energy, so I'm surprised that if Strange wants to stick around, I think he should just pounce on that Immortal. Instead, he's going to back away and maybe drop a Nexus, but it's going to be a very sad Nexus if that's the route that he ends up taking. Drogo with a wonderful defense.
I was going to say a sad Nexus is most apt there. Like, it definitely was not enough damage. I'm talking like barely getting 6 probes plus all the army is more so where Strange could start to think, okay, what else can I do in this game? But having achieved almost nothing there, it's got to be just the follow-up all in, going into the Disruptor and hoping to see Drogo still pinned back at home and miss-splitting, which, to be honest, it is still a very frightening next step. I mean, there's certain follow-up all-ins that we kind of scoff at, and we're like, clearly desperate, clearly won't work. The Disruptor follow-up is actually a little scary, because you got the shield batteries kind of placed hastily just to defend the first wave, so they kind of mess up your micro in the second. Disruptors just take they abuse the fact that you don't have much room to maneuver when you're already stuck in your natural. Like, the next part of this is still scary, but I gotta say, usually the people that I see actually make this work is not Strange, but maybe like a Zest, who is playing really well lately.
Yeah, I do love the Disruptors. They're just gonna be trapped inside of his base. So there's a pylon, I think, blocking the his own entrance. So he's gonna wait for 2 of those and maybe go pick him up with the Warp Prism. That's fantastic. But I do love the approach from Strange in the sense that he had not only not achieved any value, he has achieved negative value, right? Like, resources lost tab shows he has lost 750 resources to the 175 of PtitDrogo, which means, yeah, I mean, this needed to be the other way twice. For it to be a successful attack, and as it stands, I do love that he went for the Disruptors, especially because, like you said, Drogo is gonna be pinned back in his base. He is researching, however, Blink, which is one of the better tools that you can have to kind of dodge those Disruptor shots and eventually snipe potentially the Warp Prism, potentially the Disruptors once they overextend. So we'll see if Drogo has what it takes. A cool follow-up from Strange, giving himself a chance, but it's gonna be definitely an uphill battle for him.
First Disruptor. Oh, he's gonna get a beautiful shot. That's exactly the type of start that Strange needed to maybe win this game. Plus the Adepts get into the main, and there's not a whole lot of warpings available for Drogo. Suddenly, things are actually looking very possible as the second Disruptor takes out the Immortals, and oh no. Oh, this was actually even easier than I kind of thought. I gave the Disruptor follow-up a lot of credit, but this is turning into just a one-sided affair. Drogo cannot catch a break.
Baby Jesus. I mean, he can't catch, I guess, the Disruptor balls to the face, but that's about it. And yeah, the next one's gonna go off still, and Drogo, I mean, I'm just looking at his face. He is laughing, he's enjoying himself, and I think that's the last thing that he can do with his turkey head. It's not going to be enough, unfortunately, for him. And Strange with a hell of a comeback, I want to say.
At one point, Strange was kind of scratching his head, right? To be fair, there wasn't much else to do, but it did kind of look to me like he was acknowledging, okay, this is a little bit, this is desperate, but I think he knew that there was a chance. And the first Disruptor shot hitting like it did probably just made him feel like he's on top of the world, much less the second and the third one also destroying everything. The first one was already a much better hit than we expect, but it goes back to what I was talking about, how there's very limited maneuverability in your natural, especially with all the shield batteries. Like, basically you have to be pre-set up to actually not take big hits like that, or just be entirely like almost behind your Nexus, which is also hard to do because then you're filtering through your own little SimCity. There's a reason that Disruptor follow-up is the way to go, but I had not seen it work out so efficiently. Almost ever, I want to say. At least the games I've seen it win, it was a lot closer.
Yeah, that was not close at all. That was actually nuts. I am trying to think of what Drogo could do different, because I thought I'm gonna watch this game and Drogo's gonna show me how to play from this position, because there's only that strategy that beats him right now, right? And I'm thinking maybe he over probed the natural base, right? Like he made a lot of probes. I feel like if he had just taken a Cirque type approach to those like two base roach attacks, where you just drone up like half of your mineral line and just produce units, and then over time you're gonna just make more units than your opponent, then you can meet Strange out in the open or something like that, and then you don't have to deal with being encased in your own natural base for those Disruptor shots. I'm not sure what else he could have done. Maybe Phoenixes, right? I don't know. What do you think?
Actually, I think I have seen people go into a Phoenix response, because it's one of the most common ways you're going to open up after a failed attack like that, right? And then you do usually get the confirmation because your sentries are still alive. So I feel like I have seen someone go for the Phoenix option. It's still a bit complicated just because you can't move out of your base with the Phoenix, otherwise they get targeted down. But, you know, if it is going to be just kind of a one push and it all right here, right now, yeah, the Phoenix is brilliant. But there's another way that Strange could have played that, and I'll get into it after the intros. Bottom left, it is the red Protoss, Drogo.
And in the top right, a man with a wonderful comeback in the last game, it is Strange.
So the other way that Strange can play is the way that I think I usually see that build played out, whether it wins or loses. And that's a more patient approach. Basically, you see that they have 4, maybe 8 even, like a gazillion shield batteries, whatever. You see that intimidating force in front of you, and you start picking off the shield batteries. And then they don't really want to move out until they know for a fact they can kill you. So maybe they get blink finish or something, but you know that's a little ways off. So you start just taking down the shield batteries, and eventually you whittle them down to just 1 or 2 shield batteries. Then you try to focus fire it, that type of situation. So that's where the Phoenix response can, I guess, sometimes also struggle, because they, like I said, they can't really move out against the guy that's attacking you, because it'll just get shot down, because you're not going to get to like 10 Phoenix, right? You're going to be like 1 Phoenix for each disruptor with how you have to respond. But it usually never goes that one-sided. I guess if I was in that same position, what would I have done knowing that result was on its way? I guess I would have split the army, like maybe half up in the main and then half up in the natural. But then that also becomes a problem if it is a bull rush and they're just like, go, 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 because then you're coming down a ramp into disruptors. So I don't know what the perfect response is. There's still a lot of strengths for what Strange's position was. But Drogo, he knew he was in the lead if he just lived. So that's why we were giving him a lot of credit. It just threw away so much so fast.
Yeah, maybe if he could have tightened even his own approach a little bit and maybe gotten the blink just a little bit faster, right? It was like 75%, 80% done by the time Strange hit. All of a sudden, if you have blink, I mean, yeah, you might lose the Immortals eventually, but at least the Stalkers will stay alive no matter what, and then the Disruptors will kind of lose value over time. You still don't want to attack into those shield batteries if you're Strange, and over time maybe you can do it. But yeah, either that or just any sort of Stargate follow-up, just so that you don't have everything on the ground. Obviously, Phoenixes are fantastic to pick off the Disruptors and interrupt their shots, but even Void Rays, just to have something in the air that won't suffer against those Disruptor shots and is generally very strong against all of the ground options that Protoss has offensively there, could have been good too. So yeah, I'm not sure. I hope that Drogo's not thinking about that game as much as we are, because if he is, I mean, his mind is going to be really occupied.
Yeah, we're definitely discussing a lot about it, but there's also another little neat thing about, I guess, Strange's decision to go for that build, even if the initial segment of it did not do the damage he wanted, was that the map also had a very small choke. Yeah. So it was already a very claustrophobic type of natural, which would maybe benefit Protoss in, versus a Zerg terms, the natural wall off, but doesn't benefit them when they're up against splash units. So absolutely, something else that Strange might have been considering.
Yeah, and to your point, I mean, look at this natural in contrast, right? There's so much more space that you can take to fan out your army, and instead of getting all of your, like half of your army hit, maybe you get 1/4 or 1/3 at worst. So that's definitely something to take into account. A perfect storm from Strange. Both players opened with a Stalker Sentry this time around. You would have been right had I asked you this time around. And then they are both following it up as well with the Adepts, where Strange is going and living up to his name for the Dark Shrine follow-up. We saw this work wonders against Skillus in a slightly different game. And we'll see if it pays off this time around.
Well, 2 Adepts are going to get in here and see again that there isn't anything being researched, right? Yeah. So the Twilight Council not researching is a pretty big red flag. And on top of that, God, I don't know, actually. I was going to say, I feel like there should be hallucinations. Like, there are hallucinations to be used. So you can, if you're at least at all suspicious, you can send a hallucination across, or 2 different ways, in fact. But I guess right now, Drogo's distracted. He's not thinking about the Twilight Council not researching and is not getting a robo. And we're ticking ever closer to this game over.
Yeah, Drogo is in a lot of trouble. And again, he probably has the last game in the back of his mind as well. He is getting that +1 upgrade that's not going to help him too much unless he somehow holds. He has the option to add cannons. He is adding a robot now, but is it going to be in time? I don't think so. These are already warping in. He does have enough force fields still, even though he just used 3 of them. Somewhat unnecessarily, because Strange dealt with the Adepts of Drogo losing 7 probes and no force fields, whereas Drogo lost 9 probes extra mining time and had to use force fields. But still, the force fields could come in handy to kind of delay or deter the DTs from doing too much damage. We'll see if he's able to spot them in the first place. Strange is gonna split them, and Drogo not paying attention for the time being. This is already looking painful.
I feel like it already is a bit of GG, just with how much damage Drogo is going to take. He is doing some return damage, though, so that actually... that takes away the power that I was talking about. If it is only this probe loss from Drogo and nothing in return, then yeah, I think it's GG.
Arthos is Pylon, though. Is it gonna finish in time? It's so close.
Oh my God.
Force fields are gonna save the day for the time being.
Okay,
wow.
Yeah, obviously if that had died, that is just GG, but okay. Now we're back to just how many probe losses each one of them had. And Drogo sacrificed a handful of Stalkers to get his probe damage, but at least he got it. This would have been so much worse if he hadn't been able to do that.
Yeah, great crisis management all in all from Drogo. I mean, the Adepts got in unscouted, unspotted, unreacted to for a little while. But in spite of all that, he's managed to only lose 500 less resources, which feels good given how the game has looked. Maybe it's just the bias from having mostly looked at Drogo taking damage and not so much the camera or the base of Strange while that was happening. But regardless, it's going to be an uphill battle. Also, Immortals and Archon Tech already available on the side of Strange. Drogo cannot say the same, not even close.
Oh yeah, Drogo's still in a really tough spot, but Strange, at the very least, doesn't get a super easy 2-0. Drogo's going to try and continue doing damage with this Warp Prism, also getting his own Dark Shrine, hoping to catch Strange. Unaware, the Observer in the wrong place, not quite that position of PvP where you can just freely get Sag Defense either. That comes more so around 3 base to 3 base. So there still is a lot of damage to be done, potentially, from Drogo's off DT timing.
Yeah, Strange will spot the army of Drogo, and if I spotted that, I would be awfully confident that I can do something. That could be a third, or that could be a head-on attack, or it could even be both, honestly, on the side of Strange. I wouldn't mind that. I think even just forcing additional warp-ins of low-tier units from Drogo will stall his potential for counter-aggression, his potential to warp in those DTs and do some damage, and that's exactly what Strange is going to do. He's going to commit everything to the front. He's not even going to bother with the third. If Drogo drops his third, he's going to be really sad. But even if he doesn't, this is an incredibly difficult hold. However, there is a tiny sliver of chance if Drogo can somehow hold this and the DTs get inside the main of Strange and do massive damage, he could find himself a win condition. Let's see if he can hold. However, that's the difficult part. The DTs will do their job. Now it's up to this tiny army, however, and it's not looking too good for them.
I think Drogo might even moved out trying to snipe Strange's Observer, but then his is already sniped by that point. Like, that was absolutely his last hope, and he is still going to get 2-0'd here. Just took a little while longer for Strange to seal the deal, and he is taking some damage back at home. It's not nearly the same amount of damage. Strange looking really good in this PvP. Drogo getting, I feel like, just unlucky as well.
Yeah, I mean, Strange played really a beautiful series. Drogo a little bit unlucky. He definitely game one was